After months worth of Madam Web promotion where everything they did seemed to backfire, that instead of convincing people to go give this movie a chance, all it did was solidify in people's mind that this was going to be a cringe disaster. Madam Web finally had a miserable box office opening, one of the worst we've seen for any comic book movie in history. Yet there were still some people that held out hope, despite the terrible cinema score, despite the terrible word of mouth, the bad reviews from both the critics and the audience, and the fact that virtually no one showed up to see this thing. There were still some people hanging on to that hope that maybe, just maybe, Madam Web could have a good hold at the box office and maybe not lose over $100 million. So very quickly, those hopes have been shattered. Madam Web slips to 4th place at the domestic box office following a disastrous 64% drop on its second weekend. And the reason that 64% is so bad, one, it used to be when you did have like a 65% drop somewhere around there, that used to be miserable for superhero movies. Over the past couple of years, we've kind of recalibrated that because we've had so many things that had massive drops, whether it was Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and of course, something like The Marvels, which dropped nearly 80%. Yet somehow people are still trying to find the silver lining. Look at this. Madam Web sees big drop at second weekend box office, but there's a bright side. Madam Web crumbles at the box office with its second weekend revenue, though there's a small slice of good news for the film. Per Deadline, Madam Web is looking to drop to the tune of 64% compared to its premiere weekend in theaters. The film will drop from the number 2 spot to number 4 by pulling in $5.5 million for the weekend. A single-digit second weekend for the only superhero movie that's out at the box office right now. That would have been unheard of a few years ago, but now Madam Web has made this a reality. At this rate, Madam Web is on track to reach 35 million domestically by Sunday. So after being out for over a week and a half, it's about to reach 35 million domestically. Keep in mind something like Morbius, which was a disaster, which lost money, which is going to be compared to later in this article. Something like Morbius opened to like $39 million. Madam Web's not even going to get to that opening weekend after a week and a half of release. And international box office numbers, it'll be sitting around 60 million. Given that the film's reported budget surpassed 100 million and considering additional marketing costs, Madam Web appears to be a major money loser for Sony. Yes, easily over $100 million at this point. But there is a bright side to this news for Madam Web. While its second weekend in theater saw a big drop, it's still not the worst that's been seen in recent months. The Marvels had seen a 78% decline with its second weekend. And of course, in the Sony Spider-Man universe, Morbius fell by 74%. Yeah, let's make these comparisons. This is Morbius right here. Again, even its second weekend, despite having a bigger drop, still made 10 million, still made twice as much as Madam Web is looking at making in its second weekend slot. And we should also keep in mind that Madam Web's weekend only had Friday, Saturday, Sunday because of the extended opening, because of Valentine's Day is when it actually opened. It didn't get those Thursday preview numbers. So the reality is, Madam Web's $15 million that it's being compared against for its opening weekend, in reality, it's should be around like 19 or 20. If that was the case, we would be looking at like a 75% drop. But of course, these people got to find every way they can to try to spin things. The idea that they're actually trying to spin this, that, hey guys, even though we only made $15 million opening weekend, even though we only made $5 million second weekend, at least we're not as bad as the Marvels, everyone. And that's true. This movie's not going to lose as much as the Marvels, but that's where we're at when it comes to superhero movies. The Marvels, $46 million to $10 million drop. Morbius, $39 million to $10 million drop. Or at least we're not losing as much money as them. That's what it's come to when it comes to Marvel and when it comes to these superhero franchises. Any way they can spin it to be positive for Madam Web, they will try to do it. This is an unmitigated disaster. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.